I attended a public middle school and didn't have to pay anything thanks to the government subsidy. I'm a Chinese descent, and although I was a minority attending a government school, I experienced no racism during my time at school. I lost my virginity on my 13th birthday to my best friend, Fatar, who I ended up dating for the next 10 years. Ever since I lost my virginity, I was obsessed with sex. And Fatar then introduced me to many boys. Soon enough, I was known as the only girl in school who can be paid for sex. After graduation, I decided to live with Fatar. My parents allowed me to live with him, saying that Fatar enjoys dressing like a woman. He found out later on that living as a she-male gave him comfort. At the age of 23, I became pregnant and didn't want to abort the pregnancy alone. So I went and looked for Fatar. When I saw him at Monopoly, he had tears running down his face. I took him to a bar nearby and he told me his parents are forcing him to come back home to get married to a girl. We were joking on how he should just marry a guy, but we knew it would be impossible knowing his parents are a devout Muslim family and they even own a Muslim boarding school. Before we said goodbye, Fatar slipped me an abortion pill and he hugged me so tight that it felt like it would be our last hug. The next day, his mother told me that he had hung himself and was pronounced dead at the scene. Fatar's death took me back to one of my childhood fantasies where I had dreamt of a man to come along and shake my world, take me to the life I had always imagined, a fairy tale wedding and a life happily ever after. I've known ever since that I was a little girl that everything inside the television and media is not a real depiction of reality, but I became a devoted social media user anyway. I posted every moment and memories. I became anxious waiting for a like to appear after every post. Melanie is my best friend, who I often consider as my own sister. She was dating a boy named Dirga. I often accompany her to perform at a nightclub when she was the star diva at the time. Dirga had been living with Melanie for the last 2 years, and the three of us became very close. Melanie found out later that I had been sleeping with Dirga. Their relationship crumbled afterwards. Melanie chose to move out, and Dirga stayed on to live with me. I heard that after Melanie left, she auditioned for a talent scouting event. The happiest day of my life came when Dirga proposed to me, and we immediately got married a week later. With Dirga, I felt that all my insecurities had vanished. He told me that he will die for me, and there will be no other woman that could ever take my crown. He made me believe in myself and brought out the best of me. In our first year, he was my rock, and he would guide me through life like my grandmother did when I was younger. But our marriage didn't turn out the way I had hoped for. I ended up becoming the breadwinner in the marriage. Dirga became less motivated, and it kills me to see him feeling small. After 4 years of marriage, I had mixed feelings. I questioned myself. Did I marry the wrong man? I went through up and downs with Dirga, including dealing with my in-laws who accused me of being sterile. who accused me of being sterile. The marriage became violent. They were yelling, screaming, objects flying everywhere. I wanted to explode. I decided then I wanted a divorce. Getting a divorce was not the easiest thing for us. We had a deep connection in the beginning of our relationship. But in reality, our life turned out to be completely different. I love the idea of being married, but there's no guarantee that the euphoria would last forever. Not long after my divorce, I met Laras. She's a beautiful young woman who loves listening to slang, and I fell in love with her. Fell in love with all her eccentricities. As time went by, we became closer and closer. We would go out every night, ate meatballs, had late night coffees. We laughed and we cried together. On Halloween, we decided to dress up in beautiful white wedding gowns. And that night, we professed our love for each other. For me, love is everywhere, as long as it brings me joy. Laras fulfilled my dreams. She made me complete. She knew exactly how to make me climax when we have sex. Our relationship was perfect until Dirga became suspicious and thought there is something wrong with me. In 2017, when I went out of town to visit my mother, Laras called me and said that Dirga went to see her and had asked her to leave me alone. One thing that Laras didn't told me that Dirga had sex with her. I knew Dirga had tricked Laras into bed because he wanted to know how Laras could make me fall in love with her. 3 months later, Laras told me that she was pregnant. There's no doubt it was Dirga's. Laras wouldn't stop crying and felt disgusted. I love Laras so much that I decided to live with her and will raise the baby with her. This is how I knew that our relationship was more than just lust. It is true love.